And as our organ donor arrives into the OR for his operation, it's the last time that this engine will run inside this truck, and we thank him for his sacrifice. Didn't really have to get far before I found the first part that already came with the truck.
So after some Googling, I've been trying to figure out what it is. This one is the factory upgraded transmission cooler. So normally the transmission lines just come here and they're not connected to anything. Pretty cool that this one already has it in. And
a quick Google search reveals that a simple add-on oil cooler would be around 75 to 150 bucks. So a nice little find on my donor vehicle. Now, I don't know about the rest of you all over the country, but having air conditioning on a swap is a must here in Florida because I do plan on driving this thing as a daily, and I really thought that thing was depressurized. And just use the air conditioning that's already available from GM. The AC compressor's there and the AC condenser's ready to go. So with that, I'm taking out the radiator fans and also the radiator as well, so I'll have a cooling system.
So one thing I definitely have to say about this radiator that I wonder why more people don't try to use the factory one. All radiators on automatic cars had ports for transmission cooling, but this one's also got it for oil cooling. I don't think you should use it on a 1,000 horsepower build, but for a mild build where you need coolers, this is cool. No pun intended.
So we take off the accessory drive, alternator, power steering pump. I left the water pump and AC compressor on just to keep the engine together. Next thing was the intake manifold. This one was pretty straightforward, getting it out, and then we can move on to the next thing, which is prepping the engine for the final pull. This was new to me. With so much of the front of the engine taken out, there was actually a ton of space for me to stand in between the engine and use the bumper and cross member as kind of a seat, so I figured I'd take advantage of that. Normally in my Audis, the front of the engine sits pretty much between the headlights, and reaching around to the back of this engine was actually getting quite hard just because of how far back the engine sits in the truck.
Over here. Present myself. Oh yeah! We're so good right now. I am the engine.
You are the engine.
I was in the final process of what I thought would be the final pull on the engine.
It looks like something's holding it.
It could literally, I could have missed the bolt, or it could just be the friction of the plate of the transmission against the engine. 18 years.
Nope, I was right the first time.
So I figured I might as well be recording this. This is the bolt that nearly snapped my engine block because I didn't even know it was here.
One eternity later.
After what felt like an eternity of going tick by tick on the ratchet, I finally got the last bolt. I did a final check to make sure that there was nothing else snagging, and it was finally time at 2 a.m. to pull this engine. Even with all the bolts out, the engine still needed a tiny bit more persuasion to separate from the transmission, thanks to the dowel pins that had pretty much rusted in place. With a little bit of heave-ho and a crowbar, I was able to help it along the way and finally separate the engine and the transmission.
That was the last dowel pin. Last connection down. We got the oil lines out so they don't keep spilling. I think we're free. Every inch counts, buddy. Come on. Yes! All right, so that was a lot of work. We actually finally pulled the engine at about 2:30 in the morning. That's when it finally came out. But I think we actually ended up with something pretty nice. Now, before I tell you guys what exactly is in here, let me go over what we found in the donor that you would have to buy if you buy just a basic motor off of either the scrapyard or Facebook Marketplace. So let's start with the basics, and I'm gonna go into my notes so I can keep it quick. We didn't even get past the grill without finding our first surprise. And it had an upgraded transmission cooler, probably part of the trim level, or maybe it was a towing package. You're looking at up to 130 bucks, and that's for the cheap stuff. For everything else, I'm gonna rapid fire it. Most of my prices are off of Rock Auto, and I'll leave links down below if you guys are interested in getting this for your swap. 130 bucks for that cooler, then $93 for an AC condenser. Radiator fans were 200 bucks. Radiator would have been 250. That's for the one with the oil cooler and the transmission cooler built in. Alternator is $135. Water pump is $126. AC compressor is $116. Power steering pump's $116. And a fully dressed intake. You're not going to find this on Rock Auto. Fully dressed intake like this one with the fuel rails, the fuel injectors, and the throttle body built in, or already, I should say not built in, but already on. They tend to run 200 to 250, and I found a bunch right in the 225 slot for this LY6 intake. So all of that put together, you're looking at over $1,300 in accessories and cooling that you won't have to buy having it in the donor that you would have had to get if you got just a basic engine. That doesn't take into account the ignition coils, the coil to plug wires, and of course spark plugs. That entire engine is not going to run unless you have a way to control it. The cool part about a donor is your biggest thing is already included, and that is this. This is your ECU. In this case, it's an E38 ECU. Now, this thing is a Gen 4 ECU, controls the displacement on demand, and it also controls the variable valve timing. The cool part is that this is already with your car, so you won't have to buy it. Here's the flip side. There is one downside to going with the factory ECU. This has vehicle anti-theft, or VATs, built in. So unfortunately, just plugging this into power and trying to start the car without having that disabled is going to mean that you won't be able to use it. That's where you're going to need one more thing. This is an HP Tuner MPVI 4. You can also still get the MPVI 3. Now, this is an unfortunate premium you have to pay in addition, but hear me out. It's 400 bucks for the HP Tuner and $100 for the credits for your GM vehicle. Most GM vehicles are about $100 in credits. You have to buy 2 of them. The cool part is that before you get into tuning, before you do anything else, this allowed us to disable the displacement on demand that was plaguing my wife's Suburban, and coincidentally, the stuff in this engine, because it also has displacement on demand. So it's nice to have, and let's be honest, you're gonna tune this thing anyways, probably throw a cam in there, who knows, you're gonna wanna have this so that you can tune it. Now let's say that you didn't have a donor vehicle. So if you want a plug and play system, whether it's from Aces or from Holley, you're looking at around $2,500 for something that you can throw a harness on and a computer and have your engine running. That's enough of that. Let's talk about what we've actually got sitting in front of us. So I'm really excited with what I got my hands on. Did not realize what it was until we actually started decoding the VIN. So I'll tell you guys what it technically has, and then I'll tell you the engine code. What we've got up top is an LY6 intake. Now we know, thanks to Richard Holdner, the LY6 intake is near as makes no difference the LS3 intake. This is the truck style, the LS3 is the car style, but they make identical power up top and down low. There is no difference. The intakes are that good. The only reason you would want to switch from this to an LS3 intake is for hood clearance, and unfortunately that might be an issue for me, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Moving down, it's got rec port LS3 heads. Yes, I was blown away the fact that we ended up with an engine that had rec port heads, supposedly capable of north of 600 horsepower, naturally aspirated. And then down below, we've got a 6-liter LS2 block. Yes, it is an LS2 block because it's aluminum. This is the same thing you would have found in the LS2 Corvettes and the LS2 GTOs. No, this thing might not survive the 1500 horsepower runs that the iron blocks will, but for us right now, the most important thing is weight over the nose, because the car we're putting this in pretty much sits the water pump up by the headlights. So having as little weight over the nose as possible is gonna be the big thing, and having an aluminum block versus an iron block is a big weight savings for us. The cool part is that all of this stuff was sitting in a pickup truck. The engine code is the L76 and it's the truck version. There is also a car version. I'll put down here which car it came in, which I found pretty cool, putting out 367 horsepower and 375 foot-pounds of torque. That means that we are a mild cam upgrade from LS3 Corvette power. And as any YouTuber would say,
you can't stop there.
We probably won't. I'm really excited about this. I can't wait to get it running, and I am gonna get it running here in the garage before we try putting it in the car because I think it'll be pretty fun. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Like this video, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Dale!